Laker Nation, what is up? This is your host, Rey El Barbon, and you are listening to the Bulletin Board Material Podcast, Episode 9, The Lebron Effect. Laker Nation, what is up? What is up, man? It's a gorgeous afternoon here in Los Angeles, and the Lakers are coming off a W last night in Portland, so that's always a good thing right now, right? We got a lot of things to get into, man, but first off, I want to start off by thanking you if you're listening to me right now. If it's the first time you've listened to me, if it's the umpteenth time you've listened to me, I appreciate it. I thank you very much. You know, if for people who haven't done a podcast, I mean, it's a little time consuming, you know, and trying to find time throughout the week is tough. So I apologize for the delay in this week's podcast, but I will put out a couple of podcasts within a short time frame this week, obviously then, right? But yes, thank you once again for listening to me. If you haven't subscribed to my platforms yet, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole deal. You can find all of those platforms on my website, thebulletinboardmaterial.com, thebulletinboardmaterial.com. So if you haven't subscribed yet to my website, subscribe there. If you want to check anything out, you can always find all of my stuff there. Also, I do want to say that I am on a couple of different platforms this week now. So now, not only can you find my podcast on iTunes and Anchor, now you can also find it on Google Play. You can find it on Spotify and a few smaller other media outlets, so I'll put all that up on my website. But just wanted to say that's kind of cool. I know it's not a huge thing, but it's kind of cool to me. Another thing as well, I want to go ahead and let you guys know, if you already haven't checked out beardscape.com, check it out. They got some awesome beard products. I plug them a lot. It's organic. It's USDA certified organic, actually, guys. But a buddy of mine, known him for a long time, put me onto it. It's great. I love it. I'm not getting paid by them to say that. I'm genuinely telling you that off of my love for the products. It's great stuff. But check them out. They even give out free samples if you're just curious. Check out the beard oils. I love the eucalyptus smell. Check out the balms. The balms are great. It's good stuff, guys. Trust me. But yeah, saying that, let's get into the first thing that happened this week, or not the first thing that happened this week, but probably the largest or the biggest thing that happened this week, that showcases what I call the Lebron effect. Now, for those of you who have listened to me in the past, I've been pretty critical of LeBron in the past, especially pre-Laker days. Not to say that I don't give the guy his props or whatever, but I've been pretty critical about him and about him coming here. I didn't want him here specifically because of the circus that I deem around him, which is what I have now labeled the Lebron effect. LeBron his words carry a lot of weight. A few days ago, LeBron was asked by a reporter how it would look if he was starting to lose patience or something along those lines, right? And I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but LeBron pretty much said, hey, when I lose my patience, you'll know I lost my patience because you don't want to be around me. That's essentially what he said, right? And he wasn't like making a bit, but as soon as it wasn't a big deal, and I could see the way he meant it and all that, but knowing that it's LeBron James and knowing his history, I knew that everything that we're going through now was going to happen. I knew this was going to cause something because the media was going to take that bite and say, oh, I am running with this, right? So you've had all the reports on ESPN, Bleacher Report, and TheRinger.com, and all these places. But a lot of them are talking about Magic admonishing Luke this week in a meeting between the both of them. And it was apparently a very stern meeting. It was a very serious meeting. It was a different tone than Luke was accustomed to, I guess, with Magic at this point. Because he's got a pass because he's had a young squad and whatnot over the past couple years, and obviously Magic knows that. But this is the first time that Magic really just, I guess, had to talk to Luke and be like, hey, this is not the way it's gonna roll, bro. This is not the way it's gonna roll. I personally think it's a little premature, but knowing that LeBron said what he said a couple of days ago or 2 or 3 days ago or whatever the case was, I knew something was going to happen or had to happen. The rotations, yeah, they've been bad. And he has a history of knowing that. But keep in mind, when we signed him, we knew he was inexperienced. We knew he was going to be learning. So it's not something we can really put on Luke. That's more of a us thing. But Luke, yeah, I'm not giving him an excuse for it per se to say, hey, it's okay. But he's got to get better, and he's got to get better fast. We all knew that once LeBron signed. I just think 8 games in is kind of premature, especially with the suspensions of Rondo and BI. I thought it was a little premature, and I also thought if it was because of what LeBron said, like I assume it is, then I really hope that my version of the story is the case and not what the media is portraying. Because if Magic really admonished Luke because of what LeBron said, then man, I really feel like that's a bad look for us. Because we're the Lakers, we're not the Cleveland Cavaliers. We don't bend to players' wishes. We've had a lot of big name players, and we don't sit here and bend to their wishes just because of that. Kobe didn't get it, Shaq didn't get it. It's not going to go down like that. I wish we could show a little bit more backbone, I guess, in this situation, because it's 8 games in. I mean, anybody that thought this was going to be like a finished project 8 games in with 2 essential starters at the time missing half or the majority of the season already because of suspension, it's kind of crazy. But I understand, and I'm sure Luke understands, that this was to be expected. This is LeBron James. This is a different animal now, and this is what we bought into. We wanted to be on that hyper competitive track. Well, here we are. We went and got the best player in the world to do it. So it's not crazy that it happened, but I don't agree with it. But so let's get into my version of the story. So what I really think happened is I really think that, yes, LeBron's words were heard by Magic Johnson. But I think that Magic was trying to light a fire under Luke's ass. I think he was trying to put him on notice, but I don't think he put him on notice like that to the point where he's like, hey man, you're on the hot seat. I think he did tell him though, like, hey, some things need to change. Personally, offensively, we're doing great, right? We were, I think, number 7 at the time in the league, and defensively, we're obviously struggling. So what I really think happened is I think Magic came to Luke and said, hey, this has to stop. All this has to stop right now. No more of the behind-the-back lob attempts. No more of all the air guitaring, and no more of the lackadaisical rotations. And you know what? Honestly, these guys, we've been struggling, but these guys aren't as serious as I thought they would be during the games. And I get it's entertainment and all that stuff, and they're having fun, but I think there's a lot of bullshit between these guys and on the court. And I don't think Luke has really tightened the reins enough. That I will say for sure. He hasn't tightened the reins enough. And I think he's trying to appease people too much. I think at this point, KCP should be getting absolutely 0 points. He's had a couple of good performances, decent performances, yes. But that's only because Luke kept giving him minutes. Luke should have cut his minutes 2 games in. He was terrible. After game 3, he should not be receiving any minutes. He should have to earn those minutes back. But I thought Hart has been playing great. Ingram's been playing great. Kuz, Lonzo's been a little sporadic, but he's been playing great. I think Luke needs to put some stability. I think Lonzo needs to start. Rondo needs to be on the bench. Not because Rondo's playing atrocious. He's had a couple bad games, yes. But he's going to have a lot more games like last night than other nights. I think this talk between Magic and Luke is going to light a fire under the whole team. I wouldn't be surprised if we come out and beat Toronto tonight. And keep in mind, Toronto's playing out of their minds right now. But I wouldn't be surprised. This team is really, really good. Really good. Yeah, we don't have the best shooters in the world. We might not have enough, which I think we do, honestly. But we're good. We're really good. Once this team starts clicking, watch out. And if Luke's not the guy that'll be here to make it click, then, I mean, what am I going to say? I don't really have any say in it, other than maybe I might not agree with it at that point. But Luke hasn't done anything really to shore himself up either, you know. We'll see if that changes. I think it should change a little bit, but if it doesn't, then I think Magic and Rob already have their mindset on somebody else. And who knows, maybe it's Mark Jackson. I like Mark Jackson, so if he were to be the one to come in, wouldn't that be coming full circle with what happened to him in Golden State, as far as him developing that team and then Steve Kerr stepping in and kind of like taking the reins and the glory, right? So that would be pretty funny if that happened, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself at this point. At this point, Luke's the coach. I don't think he deserves to get fired at this point, but I do think he's got the next 10 to 15 games to show a lot. So I think the Lakers have to go 10-5 in the next 15 games for Luke to keep his job. If that's not the case, I think Magic and Rob are going to move quick. Keep in mind, Luke's not one of their hires, so they have no attachment to the guy. But yeah, I think at this point, Luke needs to shore up his rotations. I think he needs to tighten the rotations, and I think he needs to start cutting minutes for guys who aren't playing defense and who just aren't cutting it at this point. KCP, like I said, is one guy. Bees, obviously, he's in the doghouse, and he hasn't really done much to get out of it, so I can't fault that guy. But I think at this point, it's going to start to shore up over the next 5 games for sure, really, really quick if it hasn't already. And based off the game last night, it looks like he's going to ride the hot hand like he did with Rondo. But I think essentially you're going to have the same rotations now. So you might have Zoe. Essentially what I think is, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but I think the rotations have kind of set now, especially with the upcoming acquisitions or what look to be acquisitions. But yeah, I think Magic was very unhappy with this, with the trajectory that we were on. I think essentially what they want to do is they want to, Rob and Magic they're creating diamonds, right? They're trying to create diamonds out of these young cats right now, on the fly for LeBron. And I think they want to see what diamonds they have. And I think they want to see a diamond or two by the trade deadline, by the All-Star game, or the trade deadline, I should say. I think they want to know what they got, so I think that's also a reason for this this meeting. I think this meeting was also a reason was because of that. Him and Rob really wants that trade deadline. They want to know, hey, are we moving one of these guys now, or are we going to let it play out because we're doing so well, or or do we have a couple duds maybe, or do we not like what's going on with a couple of things? Because this whole thing with Lonzo right now, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets him traded, and maybe that's what he wants, but. I don't know. Lonzo should be the starter. I just think the sporadic minutes are not going to help anybody at this point. So I think Luke needs to make some decisions. He needs to say, I'm riding with these guys, and that's it. And the rest of you guys, I mean, it should not be more than a 9 to 10 guy rotation max on a consistent basis. Other than that, I mean, unless there's like foul trouble or ejection or whatever, then some of these guys shouldn't be getting any minutes at this point, right? Not to say they won't get him down the line, but that's when they need to kind of, earn those minutes back. But I think Magic was very, very upset with the trajectory at this point, with these guys just kind of running around, not really. We were losing and people were saying the right things and whatnot, but when they were on the court, it didn't really look like a team that was struggling. They were doing their thing and they were braggadocious or whatnot, and they should be in some moments. But I think that it was a little overzealous, or I'm not overzealous, but a little over the top, I guess. And I think Magic didn't like it. And I think this meeting was his way of telling Luke, hey, man, you guys need to stop around already, because this isn't going to roll, man. And I think the media took that and ran with it, and they're doing whatever they want. And I guess, he's on the hot seat. So it is what it is, man. Luke knew what he got himself into. We all knew what we got ourselves into when we signed LeBron. So this is the LeBron effect. But with the LeBron effect, there are some positive things as well. Case in point, reports are that Tyson Chandler is on his way from Phoenix. So we're getting a special delivery from Phoenix in the form of Tyson Chandler, in the form of our backup center that we've all been calling for, right? And he's perfect. We need 15 minutes out of this guy. We need 15 minutes. This guy's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He's won a championship. He knows how to win. He's tough. This dude is the perfect acquisition for us at this point. He's a pro's pro. He's a locker room guy. But the toughness, though. Remember, we built this team, or not we, but Rob and Magic built this team off of toughness. So what did they do? They went out and added another tough guy, and he's perfect. Who knows? Maybe this guy rub off on Zoo a little bit, because from what I've seen in the past, Tyson Chandler he's the kind of guy you want around your young guys. So I think it's a perfect acquisition. But yeah, the LeBron effect. Going back to that, he wants to win a championship, and where's he going to win that? On the Lakers, because he knows LeBron's building a squad to take on the Warriors at this point. So, Tyson Chandler's like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. But this is what the LeBron effect also causes. It causes waves throughout the league. Now all of a sudden, we're not that team that nobody wants to sign with, as we've been in the last 5 years or so. We're not that team that nobody wanted to play with Kobe and blah blah blah. And then the Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak toxicity that was going on and all that. Now all of a sudden, guys are like, hey, I want to go there, right? And that's great. That part of the LeBron effect is amazing. So that's something unusual for us Laker fans that we're gonna have to start to get used to again, because it's been a little while since we've been that appealing, since we've been the sexy pick, But but now that we are, it's gonna be that aspect is gonna be very nice. But going back to the rotations that I was speaking on earlier, honestly, at this point, this is exactly what the rotation should look like. Lonzo Ball starting, Brandon Ingram at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Kuz at the 4, JaVale McGee starting. After that, you should be able to shore up this rotation rather quickly in the next 5 games or so, because the rotation honestly should be Rondo, the second unit rotation, should be Rondo, Josh Hart, and Josh Hart's just kind of lucked out just because there's not enough. There's only 5 starting spots, but Josh Hart's been playing amazing this season as well. But at this point, he needs to come off the bench. Then it should be Lance. I think it should be Mo Wagner at the 4, backing up the 4, and also Tyson Chandler at the 5. I think that should be the second unit coming off the bench. Mo Wags will give you effort. He's going to give you that spacing. He can shoot, so he won't clog up the middle along with Chandler. Chandler can operate down low, provide that backbone defense. He's literally just an older JaVale McGee at this point. He's great in the pick and roll situation, great as a rim runner. The defense might have not been there in the last couple years, but I think that's more because of the situations he was in. I think this might infuse him with a little bit of youth and a little bit of energy, and that's going to be great for us, because Tyson Chandler is one of those hyper competitive guys that I love, just amazing. But that should be the rotation. And Luke, if you need to make a decision at this point, you need to nut up and you need to say, I'm rolling with these guys and I'm sinking or swimming with these guys, because this back and forth in between crap is going to get you fired, guaranteed. Switching sports here. I don't know if anybody heard, but the Dodgers went ahead and re-signed Clayton Kershaw. And before we get into that, let's touch a little bit on the World Series. I mean, obviously, I don't talk a lot about baseball, but I'm a big baseball guy. I'm actually a Mariners fan, so I can say this unbiasedly. I've gotten a lot of crap on Twitter and on Facebook, Instagram, or whatnot for some of the things I've said about the Dodgers. And honestly, I don't dislike the Dodgers. I think they got a great squad. But the problem with the Dodgers, and this is nothing that is a surprise, I think the problem with the Dodgers is they were built for a home run or a huge strikeout. I mean, other than a couple of guys on the squad like JT, they're swing big or go home guys, right? And I think that is a problem for the Dodgers because they run hot and cold a lot. I mean, and when they run hot, they run really hot. Right, but when they run cold, they run cold. And that happened to them last season against the Astros. And I think, honestly, this season, I think it just happened to them with the Red Sox. I didn't think they went ice cold until the very end, but I think they were just on that, on the last fumes from that streak that they were going through for a while there, because they were pretty hot at one point. But yeah, I picked them against the Brewers in 7. That happened. I picked them to lose to the Red Sox in 6. And not so much because I thought the Dodgers are terrible, but because I really thought the Red Sox were way better than them based off the starting pitching. just off the starting. I like Rich Hill. I thought Buehler was amazing. Kershaw is Kershaw, but none of them are hyper competitive. I mean, David Price is amazing. I love David Price's game. I've loved his intensity. Chris Sale is even crazier. That dude reminds me a lot. He has that Randy Johnson aura from back in the day, because remember, dudes were scared of facing Randy Johnson, and I think Chris Sale has that same aura about him, where guys just don't like to face him just because of that delivery. It's just so, it makes you uneasy, as a batter, I guess. But I had picked him to beat the Dodgers in 6, and a lot of people were giving me flack for that. But I honestly thought that was what was going to happen. But I was really just looking for a really good series, because I thought the Brewer series was a very good series. But I thought the World Series was great, and I know the ratings were amazing or anything, but I thought the World Series was really, really good. You couldn't turn it off. I mean, the 18-inning game, even up until the end of Game 5, it was very close, until the Red Sox actually distanced themselves. But other than that, it was back and forth. It was, that Bellinger throw, oh my God. That Bellinger throw where he threw out Ian Kinsler at the plate from center, I will never forget that play. That was one of the most amazing throws I have ever seen. That goes up there with the Ichiro throw for me, when he threw out Terrence Long at third. My God, that's the Vladimir Guerrero throw, some of the Mondesi throws that I remember from back in the day. That goes right up there with those. My God. But the Red Sox, I thought the starting pitching was going to be the difference. And the fact that the starting pitchers were just kind of like moving in and out of the relief pitching situation with, what was his name? Uvalde came in and pitched, 7-8 innings in that 18-inning game, and that was amazing. And I thought that was really the difference, but I don't think it was enough to really hang my head if I was a Dodger fan. And I'm not a Dodger fan, obviously, but I can't really be too upset with the effort that the guys gave, right? Saying that as well, the Dodgers just signed Clayton Kershaw. They just re-signed Clayton Kershaw to a 3-year deal, $94 million or whatnot, which a lot of people are like, that's crazy. Why are you going to give him so much money? One, he's still Clayton Kershaw, but remember what Clayton Kershaw is an amazing, one of the GOATs of all time, right? Amazing probably the best lefty I've seen, aside from Randy Johnson. Because Randy Johnson was dominant, and Randy Johnson went for the throat, right? Unfortunately, he didn't win a chip with the Mariners, but he did end up getting one anyway, right? But Kershaw is a GOAT, but Kershaw is known to not come through in these situations. So when people get upset and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe. Clayton Kershaw, I don't want to say he's a great regular season guy, because he hasn't had terrible performances throughout the playoffs, but he has not had any vintage Clayton Kershaw performance when it was all on the line, when chips were down and the Dodgers just, I'm not talking about a round 1 versus the Braves. I heard, he had a great series. He did have a very good series versus the Braves in the first round. But this is Clayton Kershaw, and he's supposed to be the GOAT or one of the GOATs, so you need him to come up in those GOAT situations, right? We know that this is Clayton Kershaw. So re-signing him to $93 million, whatever the case was, to me, seems fair. What I really thought was great is the fact that they got away with a 3-year deal, because Kershaw is only 30 years old. Clayton Kershaw is not that old. But Clayton Kershaw has a lot of miles on him. The Dodgers have rode his coattails for a decade or so. And I'm talking about, they rode him. He's been a workhorse. He's been amazing. He's been everything he's been advertised to. But I think because of that, I think he's also worn down at this point. He's 30. He's coming off of back injuries. Back injuries are never a good thing in any sport. Steve Nash comes to mind. When I hear back injuries, I'm kind of like, and this is kind of the reason why I say what I say about the Dodgers shipping off Seager. He had some kind of back issue, back spasms or something last year or something like that at 2021 or whatever the case was. But man, I don't like that already. You have Machado right now in your clutches. If you can re-sign him, you re-sign Machado. You flip Seager into some ridiculous player that you need right now. I mean, at this the deal that I said the Dodgers should have made, and they were half a season too late, was Seager for Harper. I think that would have been the best move. If the Nationals wouldn't have got anything better than Corey Seager for Bryce Harper, right? I think the Dodgers should have made that move when they could have, especially once they got Machado. Once they got Machado, they should have immediately picked up the phone and called the Nationals and said, Seager for Harper, let's do this. And I think the Nationals would have been stupid if they didn't do that deal. Because Seager is amazing, but I think the fact that Seager's got those back issues, I steer clear of that. I steer a little bit clear of that if I'm the Dodgers, especially if you can supplant him with Manny Machado. That is the ideal situation. Yeah, you might have lost Seager, but you just flipped him into Bryce Harper. You lock him up because you know Bryce Harper just wants to be on the big stage. So, I mean, at this point, I thought that would have been the best move, but going back, I'm kind of getting off base here. But yeah, I thought it was a good deal. I think, yeah, you re-signed Kershaw, but I think the only thing that, and I don't think a lot of Dodger fans are struggling with this notion anymore, because I think the consensus now is a lot of Dodger fans are over Clayton Kershaw at this point. I think they're done making excuses. At least that seemed to be the consensus for most of, for most of the Twitterverse that I was going through and Facebook and whatnot. That seemed to be the general consensus. Most Dodger fans are like, okay, they're not fighting the fact that Kershaw's not clutch anymore. But I think Kershaw at this point is not even I think he's not even a 2. I think you can't rely on him to be your number 1 or 2 anymore. I think Clayton Kershaw is your solid 3. I think Rich Hill's a nice 4, but I think Buehler's your 2. By default, he's your 1 right now, but I think he's your 2. He's a solid 2 for next season. But I thought the 3 years were fine. I don't care if he's getting paid $30 million a year. Honestly, the Dodgers can afford it. So, I mean, these people that are saying, oh my God, I want to give him so much money. We could go yeah, you can. Oh yeah, whatever the case is. So what? The Dodgers make so much money. Clayton Kershaw's earned this money, by the way. And it's not like he had a bad season last season. He just is not clutch. He hasn't been clutch. History has proven that. He set the bar very high. Clayton Kershaw set the bar very high very early on in his career. And when he doesn't perform to that, it's a failure. And that's honestly what it comes to be. But the 9 runs in 11 innings in the World Series, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know, how would you... You can't consider that your ace by any standards, especially if it's Clayton Kershaw, guys. Especially if you say you know baseball. There's no way. I love King Felix. Perfect example. I love King Felix. King Felix to me is one of the greatest pitchers I've ever seen. I will never say he's the GOAT, but he was the only guy I considered on the same platform with Kershaw when they were both just wheeling and dealing, right? Cy Young years and all that. People used to say Kershaw's the best. King Felix was right there with him, like neck and neck. I won't say he was better than him, but I will say he was deadlock with him for some odd years. But King Felix in the last 2 years is just Felix. I can't even call him King Felix anymore. And I know I have his poster board up there and everything, and I still love King Felix, but he's not the same King Felix that we've come accustomed to. These fans who are still defending Kershaw, Ernie, Ernesto Reese, I think these guys are crazy. I have a specific buddy who was sitting there talking about Clayton Kershaw is just going through an adjustment period. That the Dodgers don't put him in the right situations to win. That he's always in a close game and he gets no run support. 9 runs in 11 innings does not tell that story. And I know you love Kershaw, and I know a lot of people love Kershaw, but it's the same. I see what's happening with Kershaw is the same thing that happened with Kobe, I would say. You know, we all love Kobe, but Kobe was not Kobe for the last few years. But we were all still hoping he was Kobe. We were all hanging on to that last whim, but he wasn't. And I think the same thing is going on with Kershaw. I think Kershaw is on the downside, and I think at the end of this 3-year deal, I think Dodger fans are going to be glad it's done. I honestly think Kershaw should consider moving into the bullpen as well. I think, and some people go, that's crazy, blah, blah, blah. John Smoltz did it. John Smoltz was a Cy Young winner. You know? John Smoltz was a champion. He won one. He was one of the elite pitchers of the league. And he moved in to the closer situation, and he was amazing. Maybe that takes care of the Kenley Jensen thing. Maybe you flip Kenley Jensen into somebody else. I mean, the postseason showed that you just need 3 or 4 guys, really. You really just need 4 solid starters and then just mix and match with your relief pitchers and whatnot. But I think ultimately, the deal was a good deal, but I think people need to get over the fact that Clayton Kershaw is Clayton Kershaw. He's not anymore. He's a solid 3 guy. He's going to be a solid 3. And I mean solid 3 guy. He's an iffy 2 guy. But I don't want to lead into next year's World Series if I'm the Dodgers as Clayton Kershaw as my number 1 or 2 guy. Because then at that point, if he's your 2 guy and you're saying now that Buehler is the 1 guy, then that puts a lot of pressure now on Buehler. And keep in mind, Buehler's a young cat too. So essentially, are you just kind of doing the same thing now with Buehler? I think at this point, you kind of have to be, not to say that Buehler won't be a number 1 guy, but at this point, he's a number 1 guy by default. And he's got good stuff, but he's not an ace. He's not an ace yet. I mean, there's Garrett Cole's out there, with Keuchel's out there. I mean, there's some good guys out there, right? But I mean, I don't dislike the signing, right? But I do understand why people are upset. Constantly not coming through in clutch moments. His velocity is decreasing. The back issues. I get it. I completely get it. I completely get why people are upset. But anyway, I don't want to ramble on too long about that. So, thank you guys once again for listening. I'm going to really wrap it up now. Get ready for that Laker game today. Lakers tip off against the Raptors tonight. So make sure you guys catch that. Dude, we're only like 2-3 games from like the top 3 and 4 seeds right now, guys. So relax. Like I said, patience. It's a long season. We're only 10 games in at this point. Let's be patient. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget to subscribe to my website, thebulletinboardmaterial.com. Catch me. You disagree with what I got to say, let me know. It's all good, man. Like I said, this is a discussion. I ain't got no problem. I got no problem talking mess, but I also ultimately know it's a discussion. It's my opinion. It's your opinion. It doesn't really matter who's right and who's wrong. It's ultimately just an opinion. But, if you guys, once again, like I said, if you haven't checked out the Beardscape stuff, jump on there. I have a promo code El Barbon, and that'll get you 25% off your purchases. They also have free samples on there if you want to check it out. But yeah, guys, again, thebulletinboardmaterial.com. You can find all my links on there. I appreciate everybody listening. Let's go ahead. Let's get this W tonight, Laker Nation. Yeet!